Hi folks, it's Rebekah here from Rebekah's Retro, back with another video of Friday Finds. And this week's video is informed by my last week trip to Harris Auction, my hometown source of all things vintage, where I picked up a large lot of brown transferware china. And that made me think it'd be fun to share those with you and also show you some of the other colors of transferware that are in my store. I won't go into an explanation of what transferware is, except to say that it was a method of putting patterns on china that developed in the mid-1700s in the Staffordshire area of England. And what I love about it is it opened the door for ordinary people to have pretty dishes. But beyond that, I encourage you, if you're interested, to do some research about this yourself online. But I don't want to take up our time right now because I want to get right to these beautiful dishes that I want to show you today. Transferware was made in a lot of different colors. I think the ones that we're most accustomed to seeing in most parts of the US are blue or red, which is technically called pink, but it always looks very red to me. So I'm going to show you a couple of pieces of the blue transferware, and I think you'll immediately say, aha, I've seen that. Early on, transferware, it had the Chinese patterns that people loved, Chinese or other Asian. And so here's an example of that. And so these are sometimes called Wellaware as well. Wellaware and transferware are actually the same thing. You can use those interchangeably. This one is actually called Wellaware, and it's from the Royal China Company in England. So that's an example of the classic Asian pattern that was used. But also pastoral scenes were very common among transferware. And so I have another blue piece here to show you, a cup with its saucer. And this one is a cottage or a mill, I guess it's a mill scene with a lady in Edwardian garb walking. But this would be very common. Look at that sweet little handle on this cup. These pieces are from the old, by Salem, China, and it's called the old Staffordshire line. And the particular pattern was called English Village. So this would be a pretty common one, but very pretty as well. So those are two examples of blue transferware. And then I want to show you a piece of the red transferware. I really love red transferware. And this is from the Woods Burslem China Company in England, and this particular pattern is colonial. I think this is so pretty on these little handles here, the rose pattern. But again, you see the mill in there, very similar to what we saw on the blue piece, a beautiful floral design there. I also have a cup and saucer to show you in that same pattern. You can see how the countryside scene is there on the side of the cup, the pretty floral rim inside, and then on the inside of the saucer, there's a cottage, and again, with the flowers around the edge. The company logo is there on the back. The neat thing about this is there was a different scene in the middle of each of the pieces or different size pieces in each of these patterns. So that's blue and red. And then I said I picked up brown last week, and this was really the first time that I have seen brown transferware at Harris Auction. I mean, it may be all over the place, but I only go to Harris Auction for my vintage. And so that's right. Look at this gorgeous big platter. I love this one, this floral motif around the edge of this very hefty big platter here. It's called Irene, and that's from another English China company. And then I got almost a complete service for 12 of this magnificent pattern. And this is from Mason's China Company, and the pattern is called Vista. I love this color of brown. It's a deep chocolate brown that then has a lighter brown coloring to it. There's some Edwardian people there in the middle, a cottage. Again, one of those sort of pastoral or nature kind of scenes. Look at the pretty scalloped rim. All of the pieces in this pattern have this. There's the company name on the back. But I was so excited that I think I actually have, well, I have 12 of a lot of the pieces, but as for complete place settings, I think I actually ended up with 8 because there were some pieces that were chipped. Then one of the interesting things that as the patterns went along, the mason would have been from around the 1930s, and this piece was more from the 1950s. This is from a company called NASCO, and this particular pattern is called Mountain Wood Laurel. And it's very interesting how extra color was added to the transferware. You see green and yellow in there. The same thing in the cup. You see the company name there on the bottom. So that was a different way of working with it. In my research, I learned that there was yellow, purple, gray, green, black transferware. I haven't seen any of those colors at Hare's auction, and so I'll be on the lookout for those because I think it'd be fun to find some of those other colors. I usually find lots of blue, some red, and this was the first time that I had found brown. But I'd love to hear from all of you about your own transferware collections and what colors you particularly like and what patterns you like. So that's it for this week. A fun introduction to transferware and another gorgeous kind of dishes to collect. There are so many, and if you are like me, you love them all, and it's hard to sort through and say which are the most beautiful. So see you next week. Bye.